My name is Jordyn Szabo, and today I'll be talking about why America's healthcare system is flawed. 37. That's the ranking for America out of 100 countries for the best healthcare system in the world, according to worldpopulationreview.com. Today, I will be discussing why America's healthcare system is flawed. As a type 1 diabetic, I am in need of the best healthcare possible and have been affected by the worst, so I have researched this topic further. I feel it is important for everyone to understand the flaws and difficulties within the American healthcare system. Today, I will be going over why private healthcare is flawed, why American government healthcare is flawed, and what the flaws mean for Americans within the healthcare system. Let's begin with why private American healthcare is flawed. Private healthcare is typically issued through an employer or licensed broker or agent. Private healthcare in America comes at a high price for those who qualify. In an article from MinnesotaLibraries.com, they state that, quote, billing and other administrative costs take about $360 billion annually, or 14% of all U.S. healthcare costs, end quote. Another reason for the high price is due to having to pay high premiums for the healthcare company in order to pay deductibles and copays, as you can see here. The American healthcare system has been proven to be much more expensive than other countries such as Canada. In this slide from MinnesotaLibraries.com, it shows the difference in healthcare costs between the U.S. and Canada. They found that in the U.S., an appendectomy costs around $13 grand, whereas in Canada it only costs around $4 grand for the same procedure. Same with the bypass surgery, which is located on the right-hand side. It costs around $60 grand in the U.S. and only $20 grand in Canada. The U.S. is represented in the blue in all these slides, and Canada is represented in the orange. Another flaw with private healthcare in America is the lack of coverage to citizens. In most cases, the cost of healthcare is too high for those to pay with low income, especially if they don't qualify for the government-issued healthcare. TheAtlantic.com states that, quote, more than 27 million people in the U.S. were uninsured in 2016, nearly a tenth of the population, often because they can't afford coverage, end quote. Overall, the main flaw with private American healthcare is the high cost compared to other countries for the same exact treatment. Let's dive into the flaws of government-issued healthcare. Government-issued healthcare includes Medicare, Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. One of the main flaws with the government-issued healthcare is low-income requirements. According to healthforcalifornia.com, to receive Medicaid in the U.S., your income cannot be more than $16,000 a year if you live alone, or a combined income of $22,000 a year. End quote. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, those who were laid off and receiving unemployment checks do not qualify for government health care due to the extra $600 we're receiving a week, almost doubling the regular annual income. Medicaid and Medicare have a large role in federal and state budgets. According to KFF.com, quote, the guarantee of federal matching funds allows states flexibility to use Medicaid and to address health priorities, end quote. Most federal and state funding for this type of healthcare comes from taxes. The Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, began in 2010, but has developed many flaws. Once again, one of the main flaws is raising premium rates and taxes for those who have private healthcare. According to Healthline.com, they state that, quote, this has caused premiums to rise for a lot of people who already have health insurance, end quote. Overall, government-issued healthcare is flawed due to tax raises and affecting those with premium healthcare, which does not create a win-win situation. Lastly, I will be going over what the flaws mean for Americans under the healthcare. The flaws in American healthcare system have largely affected the population. One flaw is that people wait too long and are paying too much for primary care or urgent care. People who need basic prescriptions for a cold or flu are forced to wait days and pay large bills in the end. USA Today states that, quote, new patients are waiting 29 days on average for a primary care appointment, end quote. Those with chronic issues are also deeply affected by the flaws in the American healthcare. Many chronic issues that require a multitude of prescriptions are forced to pay higher premiums than a regular person with a healthy system would. Due to the chronic issues, they have no choice but to succumb to the high cost of the American healthcare. Another flaw that affects Americans in the healthcare system is the cost of prescriptions. Depending on the type of healthcare, prescriptions can range around $0 to $2,000. In many other countries, the price for medication is much lower than it is in America for the same exact prescription. Overall, Americans are deeply affected by the flaws in healthcare due to the costs. Instead of costing Americans thousands of dollars for healthcare coverage, America should follow in the footsteps of other countries in lowering the price of healthcare, which I hope you can agree on after everything I discussed. To end, here's a quote from Walter Cronkite, an American broadcast journalist from CBS, in which he states, "America's healthcare is neither healthy, caring, nor a system." Thank you.